Hey, rock crawling enthusiasts, you RC nuts out there. I'm making a chassis. My cantilever chassis works really well, and I can't really tinker with it that much. So I'm bored. I got to make a new chassis. So I'm making it more of a conventional chassis, just with shock on axle. Wanted to show you some images here real quick, So it's a two-part thing. You've got the upper area with the shock mounting holes, which can move up and down or be pivoted back and forth depending on how you decide to attach it. There's a series of holes. I'll show you that when we get down to the shop. Hey guys, RW here. I'm just showing you what I'm up to here, making this chassis. And as you saw on the computer diagrams, I came up with the shape and where the holes were in a certain way. And then I've got adjustability, because a pair of these will make up the lower chassis with a skid plate, right? For the uppers and lowers, that controls where the axle moves and how it clocks. And then for ride height, there's clusters of holes for the shock, for how you want your shock to act and all that good stuff. And then there's clusters of holes here, so this can move like this. So that's all about making it a certain wheelbase, which is 317 millimeters axle. When it's fully flat out, and being able to adjust how it rides and your weight bias and stuff like that. So I think this is going to be a real interesting chassis. So here I've got pieces to cut out, and I'll just give you a quick shot of me cutting something out, and then we'll move to some other processes that are involved in making this, like running the router. So now I've got this part that I can route out, and I'm going to show you that next. Okay, I'm going to show you how you can safely route something like this. This could really be a nightmare to route, something this small, moving against a cutting edge, with such a skinny template and all this, and everything's fairly flexible. So what I do is I peel the protective film off of my master and my other part, like that, right? And then I use 3M foam tape. Just cover the whole area of something that you want to protect there. Can't stress how important it is that this tape really sticks good to protect you when you are doing the operation. Alright, so now I got my deal. This is clean, it's just been peeled. Alright. Just take the green stuff off. Make sure you don't have any foam material. If you can avoid it, don't even touch the foam. You want it to be virgin with no oils or anything, so that it really sticks good. Okay. And then when you're positioning it, make sure that you're not missing your piece, that you're not getting too close to any saw marks or anything that's going to screw you up. Press it down in a big way so that it really sticks. Super important. But before I head to the router, there's a couple areas I know are going to be a problem. When I'm running this around my router and I have to come around that point down here, any extra material here is going to be putting a lot of stress on this small area and maybe deflect it. Same over here. So I'm going to quickly trim this off on the bandsaw and get it as close as physically possible. Obviously, there's a chance of ruining your template, so, you know. Okay, routing things can be very dangerous. This can chop your fingers up in no time. You have to exercise due caution when you're doing this. So like I was showing you, I was taking a lot of the meat off the bone. So that's what I've done. I've gotten this as close as I can. And I've already routed one, so now I've just stacked it, so I'm routing another one. I've got the drill press set so it won't drill too deep. I know this isn't the most exciting thing in the world, but this is what it takes to get a chassis made. Lots of hole drilling. All these little steps. Later I'll be showing everything about it, the skid plate I got to make, how to notch that, all that. Through drill your skid plate. And finally, the last hole. Alright. So I've got all the holes drilled. That's a wonderful thing. Alright, so here you see I've already got my 2 chassis plates made. I'm ready to put a skid. I want to make a 35mm wide skid to put in there. Now you can make your skid however wide you want to make it. You have to make your spacers and everything, so the whole thing works out at the end to the width that you want. Here I've got my template on top, so what I do is I take a stiff putty knife, and this foam tape lets me get the putty knife started into it. Then I torque it, I twist it, and it starts popping it off. Okay. I can save my template, and I'll part my pieces. Okay. And then the way I remove this foam tape, it's kind of tedious, but I roll it with my thumb. I'm not going to bother showing you that. That's very tedious. There you go. Still a little bit of this and that in there. That's how it goes. So I'm just going to need a little piece. As you can see, you only need a little piece about 40 something, and I'm going to make it 36. I decided to go 36 instead of 35. I have a package that I want to try and slip in here that needs clearance, so I don't want it too tight. Alright, so what I do is scribe it. Now I've got a line that I can really see, and so what I've done is I've gone to here and I found the centers of my holes using my caliper, and then I've come over here and I've made those equidistant there between the width of the skid that I want. Okay. Now I'm going to take my scratch awl, I'm going to use my square, I'm going to go ahead and score that line for my drilling all the way across. I'm not real concerned about this looking perfect this time, or I would use masking tape and a pencil. I just really want to be able to see it. So now I know exactly where I need to drill my holes on either side, so they'll line up perfectly. So now that I got everything all done like that, that's when I want to cut it out, and then I'm going to clamp it and drill it on the drill press. Alright, using my square, my caliper, my scratch awl, etc. I've transferred marks all the way around, so I have my drilling marks, and this is the size I want for my skid. So I just insert it in there so it's perfectly upright, and I go to my drill press and I drill it. I've already made little dents with my scratch awl right where I want the drill bit to start, so I seat the drill bit in it and I go for it. I've got it set to drill down 20 millimeters. Alright, then we flip it over and do the other side. Okay. One more hole, and if we're lucky, it'll all work out perfect. Alright, let's see what we did. Let's see how hideous it looks. Not too bad. Not too bad, considering what I'm working with, huh? Okay, and how you get your notches, you know, you just measure this at 7 millimeters across, you set your calipers, you use it like a scribe, make your lines, then you put this up here, you see how far back you want to go, give yourself a little room, scribe it. Now you're ready to go to the bandsaw, notch it. When you notch it, you can put it on there and test it out and see how it works. Okay, I've made a little progress here. Here's the skid plate completed, pretty much anyway. And it's been notched on the bandsaw and all that good stuff. It's been tapped, partially tapped, and now I'm going to assemble it and see how everything fits and see how everything looks. Okay, so far so good. I'm using really short screws to start off with because I can always put longer ones in later. But what I'm concerned with, what happens sometimes, is the screws will bind up in there unless I tap them all the way, and I don't really want to tap them all the way. Now I'm going to check my alignment, see how straight it is. I have another one of these here. This is the same drill bit that I used to drill the hole, so it gives me a pretty good indication of whether or not I'm straight in there. Now I'm going to check how my link fits. Fits pretty nice. Again, I'm going to use a relatively short screw to test it. Okay. Make sure everything fits together nice. Okay, that's good, that fits good. Right. Wish I had more links to play with, but all my links are in things. Let's go to this side, check this side out, make sure it fits. And then I'll go ahead and I'll continue assembling the whole thing. You can always add links later. Just do a little quick test assembly here, make sure everything's going to line up. The more holes you got, the more chances you are something's not going to line up perfectly. But so far, so good. Alright, things are starting to come together a little quicker now. And I came up with a spacer arrangement probably need to make my own spacers, but at this point I'm just going to use these because they're pretty close, and what I want is 3 inches to the outside. So here's my 2 9/16 inch piece of Delrin, and I don't know if you'll be able to read this ruler very well or not. Puts me right at 3. So that's what I want. So I'm going to make a couple more of those. I thought I'd show you how I make these and how I center a little hole in them and all that good stuff, in case you want to do it yourself. Take my square, notice it has a nice detent there that holds everything really nice. I just lay my knife blade right up against the metal, like that. Get a score mark on it, and I take it over to the bandsaw, and so I find my score mark before I turn the saw on. I get it right where I want it, clamp it down with my hands, and I leave just a fuzz so I can take it off on the sander. Okay, so I just touch it. I already did the other side. I already squared the other side up, and I can see my little knife mark. Make another one just like it. Okay, so let me show you what I'm making here. This is a little drilling jig. It's pretty easy. You can make it yourself. First thing I did was I drilled a 1/4 inch hole using a bit like this. It leaves it kind of a flat bottom, but it has a little detent from this tip on the bit, which is what this will find. This bit is a 2.5 millimeter bit. And what I've done is I've just got it centered perfectly in the hole here, and then I'm just going to go on through, all the way through. I'm using a piece of rosewood, so it's really dense, and this is also a metal drilling bit, so it doesn't blanket very much. Now I've got a little drilling jig. I don't know if you can see the little dark spot. I stopped it before I hit my metal part. Alright. Now, what I can do is I can take a little Delrin rod here that I made. See? I could chuck it right up in there. It fits quite tight, actually. Alright. And I can drill down into it fairly deep, actually. But I don't need to go that deep. Okay. That's about deep enough. And I need to grab it with something and pull it out. I don't have something to grab it with. Here's a pair of padded pliers. Okay. And now I've got a little hole that's centered right in the center of it. So I'm just going to repeat that operation for each one. Okay, that's just to show you how perfectly centered that hole is. Okay. Flip it around and do the other side. And I'm making my own spacers this way. 1/4 inch Delrin rod, basic shop tools. Alright, the next step is pretty simple. Just tapping them partially so that you can get started in it easily. Okay. I'm just finding a screw that's a little bit longer than the Lexan. Now I'm going to go shallow. The first screws, I can always go longer later. Right? Just to make it easy, use short little screws just to get it put together so you can see what it looks like. And you can see how it's kind of satisfying to design and build your own chassis. Now the proof is obviously once you get out on the rocks and you find out whether or not the thing works the way you think. We'll be getting there. But if you want to try out some chassis designs, you can make these things out of cutting board material. You can also order Lexan, Macrolon, polycarbonate, whatever you want to call it, like I do, and just cut stuff out. You can make it out of carbon fiber. You can buy carbon fiber. It's already laid up, sheets, different thicknesses. I would recommend wearing some protective gear with that. That's some gnarly stuff. The reason I like Lexan is that it's easy for me to work with, and it's really strong. It's incredibly strong. This is very light, but it's really, really, really strong. And the idea behind this cab design is that it ideally will tilt towards the front wheels, get the front wheels on the ground, or allow you to come around from the back wheels, either way. So here we go. Comp Legal 2.2P chassis. This is designed for Bully 2 axles by RC 4-wheel drive, but I'm going to adapt it to... Alright, so here it is. In the light of day, I'm out of the shop. It's a gorgeous fall day here. We had a blood moon this morning. It went below the horizon about 7:30. I couldn't see it at all because of our trees. So, blood moon. Maybe that's what I'll have to name this chassis. $95 grams as you see it. Indestructible. I think it could be made maybe out of 3/16 and still be just as strong, but it'd be a little more flexible. But it's quite rigid. Plenty of room in there for a payload, of course. If you had to put your electronics or something in there, you could do it. Alright. I appreciate everyone watching these videos. I hope you learned something. I hope you found it entertaining or interesting. And if you would like to commission some custom work like this, you'd like me to develop a chassis for you, for your needs, you can always contact me at rw_keeton@yahoo.com. If you like these sort of things, subscribe to my channel. You can leave a comment and hit that like button.